EA Sports just revealed the first official update for Madden 26, and there's a lot of important fixes that are being added here. Now, this first update for Madden 26 is kind of similar to how they rolled out the updates for College Football 26, meaning that it isn't a super massive update, but it does have a decent amount of important fixes for both gameplay and every game mode. But we know that usually about a month after the game is out, we get that first really big massive update that not only fixes other stuff, but it usually adds content to the game as well. We saw the same thing with College. The first update was a little smaller, and then about a month after release, we've got that super big update, which was one of the biggest ones EA had ever done. So we're going to go over this update and everything that's changing, but keep in mind, in about another 10 or so days, that's when you can probably expect the really big update where they're going to probably add a lot more stuff to the game that just wasn't ready for launch. And it says here in the patch notes, this initial update primarily focuses on stability updates with various zone coverage improvements. Don't worry though, there's plenty more updates coming down the pipeline. So pretty much exactly like I just said. So let's start with gameplay. They did a lot of stuff here with coverage, which definitely needed a bit of a buff in some areas. And starting out here, it says they increased the catch knockout chance on midair collisions in situations where there are additional defenders. This fix addressed receivers coming down with too many aggressive catches with multiple defenders around. This fix is for simulation game style only, which I find interesting. This only affects situations where a collision takes place between the receiver and a defender, so in any situation where defenders are unable to interact with the receiver at the catch point will remain unchanged. Now, I find this interesting because they said they only fixed this on sim style and not competitive style. I wonder if this is actually a typo, because to me, this seems like something that would be more of an issue on competitive game style, which would be online head-to-head. That's where people typically complain about aggressive catches, whereas simulation crowd usually is okay with aggressive catches, even if it is with multiple players around. They like receivers going up and just kind of head topping people. So I wonder if this is just actually a typo and they meant competitive style, but just interesting that they noted it that way, because there are definitely a lot of aggressive catches with multiple people in coverage. This doesn't mean one-on-one. This means if there's 2, 3, 4 guys around you, it should be a lot harder for the receiver to come down with that ball, and it definitely happens at a higher rate than it should be. Cover 2 Tampa. The middle defender now gets deeper, maintaining better leverage position against deep threats, especially versus 3-by-1 formations. That's a fix they also did for college football, so it makes sense that they did that here. It looks like kind of the same for a lot of these coverage changes, which cover 2 hard flats, they did the same thing. They addressed an issue with hard flats where defenders were dropping too deep and too far inside before reacting to flat routes. Defenders now drop more accurately with zone responsibilities, improving coverage consistently in the shallow flats. Again, they did this for college as well, so it looks like they carried over a lot of these fixes to the Madden game. For Cover 3 match, they made logic improvements for defenders when reacting to slot receivers, attempting to out-leverage the defense on deep routes. This includes Buzz Mabel and Zone Blitz 3 play calls. Cover 6 and Cover 4 palms, they fixed an issue where outside quarters cornerbacks in Cover 6 and Cover 4 palms were oftentimes losing the press, giving up easy touchdowns. We adjusted the cornerback's alignment so that they will no longer attempt to press the receiver. Zone coverage defenders now drop back quicker when shading coverage over top. That's also a really good fix there. They fixed a post-play animation defect where a defender would do read steps when standing in place after the whistle, and they addressed a visual issue around the previous play graphic, obscuring the offensive play call formation. That was definitely a very annoying bug for Madden, so I'm glad they got that fixed. And here's something else interesting that they did. They added a completely customized playbook in partnership with Kurt Benkert called Benkert's Dimes. You can find it in Play Now when selecting your playbook. Now, he did announce this yesterday when he did his stream that he did have a special playbook coming to Madden, so we'll have to see. I don't know if it's new plays or anything like that. We'll have to check it out when the update goes live. Maybe it's just a collection of plays that he likes to use, but from the perspective of a guy that played in the NFL and played at a high level in college, be pretty interesting to see how he would put a playbook together. So I'm kind of interested to dive into that. Now we're going to continue on with franchise mode, superstar mode, presentation, and more, but really quickly, here's a word from today's video sponsor. Today's video is sponsored by Raycon. Now, those of you that have been around my channel for a while, you already know that I rock with Raycon, but let me tell you about something new they have. They're bone conduction headphones. As you can see, I've got mine on right now. They're pretty cool. They wrap around your ear. They're really lightweight. And let's be real, traditional headphones are great for tuning in and blocking out distractions, but sometimes you need something a little bit different, and that's where the bone conduction headphones come in. They let you stay connected to your surroundings while still enjoying your music or podcast. They're perfect for things like outdoor runs runs and bike rides, working out, any moment where your awareness still matters. And that's why I switched to these, Raycon's new bone conduction headphones. They use bone conduction technology, sending sound through vibrations that bypass your eardrum entirely. So you can hear your music loud and clear, but your ears still stay open to the world. So if you're out jogging, for example, you can still stay alert, but also in your zone with your music on. For me personally, I like to shoot around playing basketball in my backyard, and these are just perfect. They're so lightweight, it almost feels like I'm wearing nothing. But if somebody calls out for me, I'm still aware of what's going on. And these babies have 13 hours of battery life, so they keep going long after your playlist does. They have a secure fit that won't budge on you mid-jog or mid-workout. They're lightweight enough to forget you're wearing them, and they have tactile controls so you can skip tracks without slowing down. If you train hard, sweat hard, or just want audio that fits your lifestyle, Raycon's bone conduction headphones are built for you. Go to buyraycon.com/RayweatherBC to get 20% off of your order of bone conduction headphones. No buds, just beats. Raycon Bone Conduction. Let your sound move with you. Moving on to franchise mode here. So this first one's pretty big. They addressed the UI transition surrounding the player card, reducing the transition time it takes to get into the player card. The current fix only addresses going into the player card. Our resolution for exiting out of the player card back to the franchise main menu will be in our next title update. So if you've played franchise, you know anytime you try to load in and out of player cards, it just takes entirely too long and it slows down your entire process. So glad to know they're working on this. So it sounds like it's half fixed for now until the next title update, which, like I said, probably be in 10 days to 2 weeks. They resolved an issue allowing commissioners to send multiple league invites simultaneously. They addressed an issue that prevented edge players from adding pass rushing traits. That was another big bug that a lot of people had pointed out. And they addressed an issue during the draft where the draft board was improperly transparent, showing through to the background. That was another really annoying bug that a lot of people have pointed out. So they got some of that stuff cleaned up really quickly. And with the next update, I'm sure there's going to be some more stuff that they're patching up there as well. They also noted some other issues that they're aware of and working on for a fix in a future title update. The class import process incorrectly modifying player body types, specifically offensive linemen, players on IR unable to be peeled off the IR list, and nose tackle archetypes displaying a different overall in the front end. So a lot of times nose tackles for some reason are displaying 99 overall. I don't think they're actually 99, but it's just displaying incorrectly. So that's something else they're trying to get fixed up. For Superstar mode, the fumble rate chance has been decreased in snow games. I've definitely heard a lot of people saying that they're fumbling a ton in Superstar mode in the snow, so that's going to be fixed. They fixed an issue where players would play the wrong position. That is another big issue I've seen a lot in Superstar mode. Seen it in franchise as well, although I think in franchise a lot of that can be tied to the progressive fatigue, so you kind of have to play around with that, and that can fix that. But in Superstar mode, I think it was a bigger issue there. They also fixed a rare issue where players' knees would be invisible during the NFL Combine. I think we've all seen that one. That one's pretty crazy. And they made several stability fixes. There's also some presentation changes. They added 3 international stadiums to Play Now, Franchise, and Superstar, which is pretty cool. They added the stadium in Berlin, Germany. They added the stadium in Madrid, Spain. And they added the stadium in Dublin, Ireland. So those are now playable, which I think is pretty cool. In terms of face scans, equipment, and things like that, I don't think we're getting any of that in this update because this was kind of already put in probably around the time that the game launched, and it's just now ready to go live. But like I said, that first really big update for the game is when you're going to see all that extra stuff added, so we should be getting that one pretty soon. Now, there are also some important Ultimate Team fixes that I'm going to pop up on the screen. I know that a lot of my fans don't play Ultimate Team, but one of the big ones that they did fix was the Play a Friend glitch where it would reset your passing settings, so they have now fixed that, which is really mostly big for the people that play competitively in the tournaments and stuff like that, because you have to do play a friend games in those scenarios, and for whatever reason the home team, their passing settings would just reset to default, which is not how most people like to play. So that was a really big issue, and they do have the second half of the first big tournament coming up in a few days, so it's good that they got that fixed before the tournament continued on, although it really should have been fixed before the tournament even started, to be honest with you, but that should be fixed now. Now, in case you didn't know it, there are some very important settings that you need to make sure that you're turning on in Madden 26, and if you want to find out what those are, make sure to check out this important video right here on the screen.